Y'all need to really stay off the memes and thinking that you're making some grand political statement. Every political turn, we get these types of memes, and we even get them throughout the term of any presidency because people are one-sided and biased in their thought process. 14 million kids living in poverty in America, but Democrats fight for illegals. Now, I'm not Democrat nor Republican, but I just state the facts of what they are. So your concern is that because we fight for, Democrats fight for immigrants who don't have the same abilities to come into America as some other countries, that this is the reason why there are 14 million kids living in poverty in America. And the way to combat this 14 million children living in poverty is if we stop immigrants from coming into the country. Most of those immigrants are coming into this country who desire a better life and actually work and contribute to, at minimum, sales tax and the movement of the dollar in America. But instead of focusing on that, what you should be focusing on this. When you look at this chart, and you may need to pause it to look at it, but I'm gonna leave it up here the whole time. In 2022, America spent over $70 billion in foreign aid. That's foreign aid, not foreign loans, but foreign aid, meaning we gave these countries over $70 billion. And the list is longer than this, but we gave over $70 billion in 2022. And it's not like that's something that only Democrats have done. This is something that Republicans have done and everybody else. And if you actually understood the way the government works, mainly because I used to do finances for the military when I was a Marine, I can tell you right off the bat, the Congress controls the purse string. So whatever Congress was in power, those are the ones who determine how much money was going to be given. So if it's a Democratic Congress, if it's a Republican Congress, it doesn't really matter. That's who gives all this money. And if you look at it, the red indicates how much is given, how much of that money or percentage of that money that is given for military aid and how much is given for economic aid. And when you look at the top of it, Ukraine received way more economic aid than they received military aid, but Israel receives all this damn military aid for their massacring and genociding of the Palestinian people. So if you was really concerned about 14 million children in poverty in America, then the first thing you would look at is the fact that we give $70 billion last year, well, in 2022, in foreign aid. Yet we are running a $1.6 trillion deficit. Not that the 70 billion would take away the deficit to which we are consistently and continuously running, but hell, it would make a major dent. And it would also be able to utilize that money to rebuild more infrastructure for education for these children who are living in poverty, rebuild more infrastructure that will provide more jobs for people who are living in America. What if you took that 70 billion and you created a national rail system, high-speed rail system, and that rail system would then provide a ton more jobs in America than we already have, providing people an opportunity to become educated in how to run that system and maintain that system, giving some of these parents the ability to raise themselves out of poverty if they so choose. How about if we took that 70 billion and instead of teachers are going into their pocket to pay for school supplies, that these teachers had all the supplies that they needed. Instead of these teachers and schools not being able to give every child an equal opportunity in education, meaning that this school has STEM programs, this school does not. This school has AP programs, this school does not. And most of the time, those things are based on the economic level of each school, because the school that pays, the school that's in an area that has higher property taxes usually get more federal dollars towards their schools. How is that even fair? And how do you think that will ever elevate these children out of poverty if their school systems are already in a position where these children are going to be less educated and not have the same opportunity as children who are growing up in affluent neighborhoods? If you was really concerned about these 14 million children that are in poverty, then you would first want to retract The overwhelming majority of this $70 billion that we're giving out to other countries while we're running in debt. Just think about it. That's you not being able to pay your bills in your house, and you're going over and paying for someone else's bills in another country because you think that that's the best way for you to build up your community, and best way for you to build up your country is to go and give money that you could be paying for your bills, but you're paying someone else's bills in another country. Does that make sense? Of course it doesn't make sense. But what most people do is jump on these political memes that has some meaning to themselves and ignore what the real issues that we deal with in this country. And if I was president, all of this money, all of this money would be coming back to America. All of this money would either be going into our school systems to upgrade them so that our children can compete, or it will be going into some type of mass building across the country like the highway system did, in order to upgrade people's technical and educational abilities to be able to have a job that pays them more money. Then we can get these kids out of poverty. There's always going to be some level of poverty because some people are just not going to take the opportunities that are presented in front of them, and they will just look for the government to take care of them. But at least we can take care of those who have a desire to do so, and at least we can start educating our children equally so that our children will have an opportunity, an equal opportunity to prove exactly how unequal they are to their peers, and thereby be able to gain the higher paying jobs and get themselves out of poverty. Imagine if you gave 70 billion in scholarships to these underprivileged kids, these undereducated kids in America who are going to these lesser schools, and they were able to get the college degrees or go to a trade school. Imagine if you took that 70 billion and did that for those children. You wouldn't have 14 million in poverty. The illegal immigration that comes into America has absolutely zero to do with poverty in America, and you might want to get that through your head and look at things for how they really are instead of creating your own imaginary thoughts so that you can feel good about whom you're voting for. So always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration.